in nutshell, if not for OTT, I'm not here at all in this point of time, and then I would not have had the opportunity of being on-screen actor. So that's the kind of power that OTT has today. The kind of demand that OTT expects from the technicians or actors. So a background with theatre gives immense opportunity for all these actors to get into OTT as quickly as possible and adapt. So though the process of working is different, how you create a scene, how you create a story, how you structure would be different in theatre, but then in OTT is also different. But how quickly one actor can adapt into this medium is unbelievable. So that's the kind of opportunity theatre actors and skilled actors have in OTT as on date. This is the best period ever.
So specifically, what discipline of theatre has really helped you in OTT?
I think discipline. Discipline. I think that's what theatre teaches you, because no matter what, it's a live, so the actor has to be available. Every single actor, whether he's playing the lead or he's going to stand right behind, holding an armor and then just standing there. He's got to be there on stage, on time. So that, I think, gives a total dimension towards adapting into OTT, because the creators of OTT are extremely demanding. They don't have the time, because the depth of scene that they are creating today, people used to say that getting into the skin of the character, but it's no longer that. Getting into the skin of the scene is what is important today. So how all actors believe, trust in each other in theatre, that is reflecting now in OTT. Because if there is no trust on stage, then the scene falls flat, and that is what is happening in OTT, because that trust, the director or the creators are expecting that kind of a trust among each other. So that's beautiful space now, yeah.
And coming to you, Manoj, you had a long and successful film career. You still have a long and successful film career before you got into OTT. How did it help you? I'm sure you'll say acting is acting, but was there anything specific that helped you in the longer format?
A longer format is very challenging. On the contrary, Dayal was partially right in saying that you have to get into this skin of the scene, but it's keeping the consistency of the character, keeping the flow of the character, keeping all those nuances of the character, and also remembering each and every scene and where it's coming is the most difficult thing. I mean, Raj and DK, they start with the first episode, scene from first episode, and the second scene that we are going to shoot, it actually coming from the 9th episode. So keeping the graph, and deciding the graph of it, in a matter of time, I think it's a most difficult thing, and you can only do it if you are with the character and with the script. You can't do it otherwise. You are just depending on your directors and their guidance. And I personally like to be self-sufficient and not bother my directors all the time where it's coming. How should I do it? Instead of that, I would like to surprise my directors and tell them that no, I am quite impressed with the script, and I remember it. Now let's try various things about it. So yeah, the consistency factor, the graph, the flow. I think that's the most challenging thing that most actor must be going through. I go through it, and I would like to believe that everyone goes through it. It goes through the same thing.
So, how do you do it? As in, do you do it in your head, or do you make notes? What's your secret?
See, the preparation time is the notes time. When you are doing it, that is not the time when you start jotting down. On the day of the shoot, I try to rehearse quite a lot. I try to read my scenes, as much as possible. Then with the directors and their input, try various things about it. If I'm going wrong, there is Raj or there is GK who is coming and telling me, Manoj, I think this is not going to be right, because before this your reaction is going to be this. So this performance will not work for you. I'll give you an example. A shootout happens in police station in second season. Okay. After Sunny Hinduja's character, what was his name? Milind dies, and the first time when I performed, I howled. Okay, and Raj came to me and said, Manoj, no, don't do that. Just give me a performance where you are just stunned. Because after this, you are going to speak to your wife, and there you would be breaking down. So you can't break down here. So these little things.
That's just one of the times we said, otherwise he's one of those first rankers who act like getting studied. And all night we bugged up. He comes to the shoot like he hasn't prepared at all. He's joking around, and we are thinking, did he even read the scene? I'm always worried he's not doing right. So he's just one of those guys, who will surprise you on the scene. And he wants to surprise us constantly. I said, tell me, it's okay, I don't want to be surprised every time. So yeah, he's one of the most well-prepared actors who doesn't look it, but once he performs, you realize that he's actually on the dot every single time.
And Rajan, DK, and in whichever order you want to answer. Now, you came into OTT with a background of independent cinema. With I still remember watching Flavors, which is still one of my favorite films of yours, and which was delightfully indie. And then after a few films, you did Family Man, which is obviously big in scale and everything. So, what about indie cinema helped you, make a mark in OTT?
I think indie cinema made us complete filmmakers. I remember making our first business cards where we wanted to say director and all that, but we wanted to make it filmmaker, because it felt like a complete definition of somebody who would not just direct, but write, direct, produce, edit, whatever needs to be done. So indie filmmaking for us really taught us to be self-sufficient, completely self-reliant. Just the two of us could actually go and shoot a film, edit the film, add music, sound, the whole damn thing till it releases. So that's what gave us the confidence that we don't know anybody else in the industry. So what do we know is the skill set that we taught ourselves. We bought a computer, taught ourselves how to edit. So this whole package gave us the confidence that wherever you put us, we can make a film, irrespective of the budget, irrespective of the stars. So I think that's what still keeps us going. Even the Family Man, the way we shot it, the way we approached it, the way we switched from features to series, the indie background was so strong for us that it helped us so much to do anything and kind of push the envelope whenever we want to, because at the end of it, it's just you. You can screw it up or you can do it well. So it's in your hands.
Not necessarily for OTT, but indie filmmaking, what it does is it helps you come to terms with that you'll not get everything you want, and there's a lot of things you won't know, and you'll have to kind of adapt, and jugaad is the word for it. Somehow get the job done. That's how we started off making films. So once we are comfortable making films, we made a few films and everybody's making films, suddenly this new beast called OTT, this series comes to India, right? Of course all of us have seen series from the West, and there are so many favorite series from the last decade or two that we all have. But for the first time, we are making every filmmaker in India, like nobody in India has ever made a series, right? There is no producer, nobody who knows how to make a series in India, and suddenly now we have to make a series. So I think that jugaad mentality, that idea of going back and figuring out how it's done, that comes in very handy. So because when we made our first series, we had to relearn a lot of things about how to make a series, just like we had to learn how to make a film in our first film.
No, also, Naman, so sorry I'm taking this, but there are such framings that they do in their series. Usually you've never seen it. You've seen it in indie films, okay? the certain framing, certain composition that these two used to suggest the cameraman, or suddenly think of putting the camera in some place and shooting that particular shot. That used to give me just suddenly it used to tell me that these guys are either watching all the independent films, or they are going back to their flavors days. So I think it helps in crafting also. Am I right? It helps in crafting your scenes, your shots. I think it helps me a great deal. My own experience of independent films.
Lovely. Purva, can you tell us about your journey and what led to Delhi Crime?
So I started out as a banker and soon realized that power of storytelling was where my heart gravitated towards. I'm a army kid who traveled our country and truly believe that we have hyperlocal stories that must reach the rest of the world. The route to Naman, reaching Delhi Crime was exactly in these 3 steps. I was a Sony Pictures Networks Asia girl. I used to run Animax and EXN for a long time. And American programmers were the love of my life, as in Amazing Race Asia, you name it, like serials and Rematch, Minute to Minute. And till I met Anurag, Kashyap and Guneet. And they had this entire, I call them very lovingly, gangs of Aramnagar, who have built this beautiful indie haven. You walk into the Aramnagar space in Bombay, you'll feel the whiff of independent cinema. And it was very raw, it was beautiful. I saw some documentaries. I remember the first ones were Placebo and Haramkhor. These are the 2 films that I saw that completely blew me away in terms of its narrative strength. And I started falling in love with indies, so I started watching, and they kept rolling out one film after the other in terms of Vimeo links, right? Not accessible, best film festival runs, but deeply appreciated across the world, but there was no distribution. So I like to plug myself as a need gap, how do I kind of fill in the gap? And I kind of started going to every independent filmmaker. And meanwhile, I had left my job and fallen in love with a person who lived in the United States. So I didn't have a job at that time. So I thought I'll self-create that job. And I said, okay, I'll go to every independent filmmaker who has made a film in the past 10 years, who have traveled festivals. And so many of your pieces dropped into my lap. And it was just like I went to Netflix and I knew that they were opening their global channels and global territories. And I said, whatever you give to one Salman Khan film, give me for 40 films, 40 independent. So these were films that were completely jaded, and independent filmmakers were supposed to, I had convinced them that when they said digital rights, they were like, "Aap piracy karti hai. You're the one who, so the intention was to be able to train them. So I spent 2 years convincing filmmakers to give the portfolio. And the first deal that we structured with Netflix kind of gave life. But that was also the beautiful time when Ammu, Siddharth, Amal, Fandry, Filmistan, a group of films was released, and they've not only found viewership from across the world, it started opening up metrics in terms of what OTTs can do. So a lot of our careers are built on that, but I started understanding the need gaps. And then the buying patterns, renewal of deals kind of started teaching us what is it that is appreciated. Delhi Crime came with a lot of love, with Richie just trusting my instincts for feedback, for creative feedback. And once I read the scripts, I said, no matter what, I will make this happen. Because we went to every platform and everybody passed on it. From Netflix to Amazon to Hulu to Vice. I even went to some South American platforms. What was interesting was that a bunch of financiers came together. They had faith. SK Global was the last to enter, and mentors Jeff Sagansky and Aaron Kaplan. The story is quite well known, but I had to put in my own money, and I went all out. And that was the big risk that you do take with pieces that you really trust. And these are calculated risks. And now, you know what Delhi Crime was able to do. You have to have faith in the bound script. And then nobody else, like that is the living, breathing leader. And including the director starts serving the purpose of achieving that. I would like to point out to what Manoj said as well, and they all said as well, is that there's an ensemble here. there is this teamwork that they spoke about so beautifully. That there is a protagonist and there's a very clear structure of who is the hero and the anti-hero, but there is an ensemble that uplifts. Like if it was only Manoj was only shouldering the responsibility of putting so many plot lines and carrying the weight of so many plot lines, the other performers, and that's why theatre performers and drama school performers are so well adapted to, because the discipline that you have to perform on stage on that one day together as a cohesive unit is so brilliantly translated to an OTT environment where you don't have, specific. All Bollywood films have that very specific one character-led storyline. Here, everybody has their own subplots and they have to shoulder that responsibility of elevating. So a Shefali gets elevated because of Rajendra or Rasika Duggal, like all of them, Rajesh Telang, all of them really uplift that performance, and so does Go With Him. So this cohesive unit, and that's a dream and a boon and a pain actually as producer as well as for directors, because there's a larger unit to manage. But series are truly large independent films, in my understanding. Like a Telegram would be 3 independent films put together. So that's my journey. That's how I read Telegram. But my last one was Hunt for Veerappan, which is my very favorite. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, that's the latest.
Yeah, there's a picture of you on the Delhi crime set, taken at some 3 in the morning. You'd actually fallen asleep on a script. I still remember that.
So I used to do Hindi dialogue reads for, I don't know why, like Richie obviously, he is fully Desi and completely a full Delhiite, but his Hindi is horrible. So I used to do dialogue checks and I had passed out because we were exhausted. But there was a lot of labor of love in building that one because it's truly indie. Everybody came in for the passion of wanting to do something bigger. My crew's average age was 27 years of, including our DOP who was 25, who's now their DOP, Johan Aidit. He started with Telecrime 1. And it was that raw energy and young energy. Like Richie was the oldest man on set, he was 14. Nobody, like everybody else I was 33 at that time. It's really important to be able to get that energy. That's why we dealt with dark material in this, and we wrapped it in 62 days straight. Because it was independently financed, like there was just no liberties. So yeah, that was a you talk about this photograph a lot now, but nobody cares about it. Richie refuses to pull it down, but it was exhaustion of another point, but it was also a deep satisfaction. I was smiling while I was sleeping.
So I wanted to ask all of you about unlearning. Now, starting with Dayal. Now, theatre, it's a space like this. You have a stage, you have an audience like this, and it requires a lot of projection, right? And OTT is at the other end of the scale. So, without getting too technical, can you say what's your process of, acting for OTT and keeping it subtle?
Unlearning is a very interesting word because that was the first word that I learned when I joined theatre. My director said that the first thing that you need to learn is unlearn. Things like small gestures that we have built over the period of years, as we grow up, scratching or, all those small things. So how do you stand neutral on stage? Just stand without twitching, nothing. So that was the first challenge that one has to go through. So from there, theatre builds. So all these kind of trainings that one goes through in theatre, the expectation from the creators of OTT is very simple. So when they know there is a theatre actor that's on stage, who's casted, the approach would be different. That is what is my experience that I have seen. The way they communicate what is expected from that scene or from that actor. See, these days in OTT there are 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minute single shots. It's as good as doing a play, a scene on stage. It's unbelievable to see all that happening. So, actors, when it comes to stage, it's about it's actor's medium. But OTT or cinema is a director's medium. So how quickly one adapts to the expectation of the creator is what matters, and that's quite possible. These days you see a lot of theatre actors busy with OTT and cinemas. That's a real case today.
And Manoj, did you have to do any unlearning to adapt to the streaming medium?
I don't know. I don't remember. The only thing that you unlearn is what you have prepared. This is what I do. I prepare hard, and after that I forget about it. Because this is very important to. Preparation is very important so that you are confident and you are very much familiar with the script that you are going to be part of it. But when you are going there on the set, you have to keep your mind empty for other things to come in. Preparing too much can go completely wrong. You can go completely stiff, and you will be unwelcoming of all the new ideas that a director can give it to you on that day. And it has happened to me in the past. When I started it around 29, 30 years back, it happened to me. I used to over-prepare, and I used to have so much debate with my directors because I was not ready to welcome his ideas. Because I was so over-prepared. I was so prepared that no other new idea was welcomed on the day of the shoot. So, eventually I started realizing that this is somewhere, the reason is something else. The reason is me. The reason is my preparation. So I'll have to keep my mind empty on the day of the shoot for the new ideas to come in, for the directors to direct me. It was very, very, very important. That is the unlearning that I have done.
And Rajan, DK, obviously you've learned a lot from your indie days. So how was the transition to suddenly having almost, from what it looks like from the outside, unlimited resources at your disposal compared to small indie films?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite thing is if somebody gave you a small house, it's too small for you. If somebody gave you a big house, it's still too small for you, right? So the way we operate is, right, I mean, we develop a script, concept, everything, and based on that, there are certain budgets that come out of it. And invariably, there is always somewhere you'll have to cut down the budget. Like, no matter how big it is, you could be cutting down 10 rupees to 8, or you could be cutting 10,000 rupees to 8,000, but it's always thing. And it's almost like saying, okay, if I had all the money, all the budget I needed, I would do this, but somewhere you'll be like, okay, you're not getting it, so you maybe have to cut down a little bit. So I think every filmmaker faces that somewhere.
Yeah, budget's always problems, right? Doesn't matter where you are. The Family Man, for example, it was one of the smallest budgets we shot a series in. At this point, when we look back and realize it's a really minuscule budget we had for The Family Man. And it's not like they were expecting us to do action, but we really want to do a lot of action. It wasn't really, on the script, we didn't really jump out action-wise, but we decided to push trucks off hills in Kashmir and do one-take sequences all nights and all kinds of things we did in The Family. We wanted to do action that we haven't done before, but there is no budget for it. So at the end of it, again, indie rules come in. You have to figure out how you're going to shoot it with this budget, and with brilliant actors like Manoj and Dayal and all these people, we were now pushing them to shoot a lot. And they were delivering it like that. Once we were in the flow, we would shoot scenes in like half hour sometimes, because we started picking up a third camera, and it was great to be in the middle of it, sweating, carrying our own camera. I usually pick up the third camera and say, give me that other one too, because I want to get close-ups of the actors because they're performing so beautifully. And we always treat actors like melting ice on table. We feel that it should be shot as soon as they're fresh, and not let them think too much and start improvising too much later. The first improvisations are great.
Manoj knows this very well. Manoj does some brilliant improvisations, right? And on the first take, second take, he does it, and they are like superb. and even you know that by the third time, fourth time, you know, you're maybe it's not an improvisation anymore because it's become part of the act, right?
So you know those things. Yeah, I mean, so we kind of start to do these not for the budgets, but also the fact that dynamism on set. Instead of going back to the van and sitting there 3 hours of lighting, and then we come and shoot one shot at a time. It's just too much, and I feel it's broken into so many pieces with coverage that we thought, especially we discovered that while making series, that we could actually do it very raw, very intense, very fresh. As soon as the actors come, we kind of finish the scene, we block it and do it in a very quickly. So yeah, I mean, we are surprised at how much we pulled off in the family band. Cut to the latest series, Guns and Gulabs, same thing. We started shooting in Dehradun, and we shooting what was on script. And then one day we decided, let's shoot action tomorrow, like 2 days from now. And Netflix calls up and be like, are you serious? We're shooting action now? Like, and we don't, the budget, it's not budgeted, but we have to now stretch the dollar. Somehow with the budget we have, we're now flying the action team, they prep, we're shooting this chase sequence in the mountains. It's not even in the script. So yes, budget is always tight irrespective of what you're shooting, and we always cut corners. We always take the money from here and put it here to make it work. So yeah, it doesn't matter how much.
The short answer in summary for all of this is, no matter what filmmaker you are, no matter what film or show you're making, whatever money you need, you will never get a penny more than that. In fact, you will get a little bit less than that.
I'm sure no one has described the two of you as melting ice before. So now coming to a slightly technical part, everyone is aware that you need a script, and then the script becomes a film or a series. But for OTT, you have something called a Bible, right? So let's start with, I'll come to the actors afterwards, but can we start with you, Apurva? How do you go about building a Bible? And then we'll come to the two of you, the same question.
I think the core, very effective pitch strategies really start with, and especially, let's say, fiction versus non-fiction, and talk about both. Fiction is very clear, you have to have a very clear concept, which is succinctly explainable. If you were like, oh, you have to read the script to understand it, that means you yourself don't know the concept. So Bible includes a concept note, artistic statement, which is the tone and the treatment, and the take you want to take, which is unique. And in my understanding, if you've not written the pilot, which means you have done some story engineering of all episodes, then you've not put enough effort, because people are coming with that ready material now. So if you think that you have one pager concept and people should commission in development, I'm sorry, but others are putting that effort of going a little more into it, self-financing that development process, because what the Bibles we receive right now includes a full-fledged pilot, fleshed out. And to write a good pilot, you have to flesh out some engineering of the rest of the episode. So there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, but a Bible for a fiction series kind of looks like that. For non-fiction, it's research-led, and anything for fiction also research-led is great. Non-fiction is just research. If you have a very clear understanding of, you've identified your storytellers, you've identified what the main pull of the pull of your intention of doing an investigative doc series, or a doc series which is like My Octopus Teacher, which is lyrical, you have a very clear intent with where you want to go. The hypothesis of the research that you want to go into is very clear.
So for fiction, along with the pilot, do you also expect to see the beats of the remaining episodes?
The beats, if it's done, because I do feel a very well-informed pilot only comes after you've beaten the whole, that's what story engineering that I spoke about, 8-episode beats are done, or 6-episode beats are done. A good grip on understanding what that season 1 arc would look like is great. What people come back is what we expect of season 2. You have to have an idea of there's a longevity, there's a seasonal appeal to it, appeal to the concept, because when you do pull in so many resources and time and energy of performers and artists, you want to be able to take it a little more longer haul, so the investment kind of makes sense.
But then for season 2, like what do you do with something like Veerappan, which is a finite story? So how do you pitch that?
So the hunt for is actually a very big it's like there are many, like the hunt for Osama bin Laden, the hunt for Veerappan. So there is a more global appeal to that. This Veerappan story is 3 seasons, 8 episodes each. Let's do it together. Yeah. 3 seasons. It's for fictional part, as in, because we had like more than 700 or 800 hours of just interviews of very core people you see. We've shot so much more, and there's so much of unraveling. We also only focused on the hunt period. We focused on the fractured psyche. Plus, the restriction of 4 episodes came from Netflix, with very intelligently, because there was a data point that, for example, Don't Fuck With Cats, or The Tinders, all the doc series across the world were performing only till the 4th episode. Everybody was dropping out after that, while Country being the first OG production. So these are analytics that tell you where is your audience at, where their attention span stays. But overarchingly, the intention is to be able to create compelling content where you are. For India, I thought Veerappan was defining in terms of non-doc viewers watching, a documentary series and loving it as much as how fiction series are appreciated as well. So it was cinematic. It was by design, the music, the way the storytellers were approached. It was very, very immersive as an experience that we were trying to drive. So those are the elements.
And Rajan DK, what's in your Bibles?
I still don't know what Bible should have.
One line pitch. Is there Bible?
No, I learned the entire Bible structure now. But earlier we were Googling it, saying how do you do Bible for family man? No idea. I mean, everybody has their own thing, but looks like what she said is more standard practice as to what we do. We just made our own stuff up. I didn't have these artistic statements and stuff. It just had a story, and we didn't even have a full pitch, I think. Actually, we went to Manoj and said, let's do it. And then he said, okay. And then we told Amazon, let's do it.
And did Amazon also say, let's do it?
Yeah, Amazon did say, let's do it, yeah.
That's such a smart way to do it.
So, coming to the actors, what did Raj and DK share with you for the family man? Yeah, it's okay, they're all friends here, you can share it.
So there was an audition that had happened. There was an audition that had happened in Chennai, and the condition was that we have to speak in Sri Lankan Tamil. So that was the thing. I don't know to speak Sri Lankan Tamil, I know to speak Tamil. So we did the audition. So the interesting thing is, I got the scene 4 days before the audition. So I had time to prepare, which generally, earlier and all never used to happen. So 4 days, so I had the time, so I worked with one of a person that I know who speaks Sri Lankan Tamil. So I spoke to him, got it kind of, managed it for the audition. And that's how I did the audition. And then on scene, I was actually quite surprised the way they approached, the faith that they had. I don't know. They said this is the scene. Of course, we did discuss. Mr. DK gave a very clear briefing about the character and how the pre and the post, what happens to him, from where does he come, and then the scene after that. So that was very clearly, told to me. And then the freedom was completely mine. I did what I thought would be right, and he gave that freedom. And I was very surprised, actually, thanks to you. I don't think I ever said that to him and to Mr. Raj, but thanks to them, that's the kind of faith that they have in actors. That gives us more responsibility to push and deliver. Yeah.
True, like when you get good actors, when you get talented people that's right for the role, I think that takes a huge load of directing, right? So now you can just sit back and watch what the actor is doing, what the actor, him or her, is bringing to the character, and how they're internalizing it and all. Maybe here and there you might have to just nudge a little bit, but let them do the job. So I think, so we are lucky, I think, in Family Man, literally down to the smallest actor, to all our leads and everybody. I think the casting was done right.
So, Manoj, beyond the handshake and let's do it, did they share a Bible with you? What all did they share with you?
You know, this...
we shared some wine, right?
Both, and Raj ran away from there after having 2 glasses of red wine. And DK and me, we crumbled after a few hours. Anyway, so now I happened to be in USA, and you know, I watched this series Narcos, and that was the first time I got myself familiar with OTT and its world. And then again I went there, the Sacred Games I saw. After that, what I started realizing while exploring the OTT world, that the shows were all about sex, violence and guns. And I was quite binge watching. I was enjoying watching it, enjoying watching some great performances, watching some great directors work. But somewhere it was telling me that, you know, if at all I have to do it, I don't want to do anything which has sex, violence and guns, because that's the template which OTT was filled up with. And that is when Mukesh Chhabra, you know, I got a call from Mukesh Chhabra, the casting director. He said, Raj and DK, they want to meet you. I said, okay, film hai? No, it's a series hai. I said, yaar, wo is sex, violence, guns hoga yaar. And he said, no, you have to meet them. Just meet them, okay? And we met at the club or Indigo. And in 20 minutes, Raj has given me the synopsis of this series that they wanted to make. And what was so amazing about it, that he's just giving me this story about a spy from Chembur, and this is the way we want to make it, a real one. And that kind of triggered everything inside me. I said that it doesn't have sex, violence and guns, and it is talking about the real guy, and we'll have fun. That's all. That is all. 20 minutes. The meeting lasted for 20 minutes. I said, okay, let's go ahead and do it. Please send me the script whenever it gets ready. Okay, and that's how it happened. It didn't take more than 20 minutes.
So I'm curious to know, before the shoot, did you get anything beyond the script? As in, like the Bible that...
Character arc or all that? No. It was there? Was it there? No.
No, some form of it might have been, maybe I think it's more of a conversation about his character and how he's going to do it and all that.
Yeah, you know, I think it works, for each actor it works differently. For me, it's very important that I become friends with my directors. I know I start sitting with them, I start understanding where they are coming from, how they are looking at the character. And then, you know, I try to go beyond that and surprise myself, you know, and put some new things, give some new dimension to their characters and how they are looking at it, you know. So that is very important for me, to really read the scenes with them, read the script with them, or with my co-actors, and then read many times alone. And that is where, that is the strength of my preparation actually, that I go through it again and again in my leisure time. So much so that it becomes part of me. And it's very important, mainly for the series, because as I said in the beginning, that you have to know the graph of your character. Otherwise it will look quite bizarre, you know, because if there is no graph, the director can help you only that much, because he is dealing with 100 characters. You can't be expecting him to come to you rescue. So you know, you have to somewhere be self-sufficient when you're going on the set.
And I mean, one of the things we do, and we learned this, like probably we didn't do it on Family Man season 1, but later on we learned is we started creating dockets for each character. like if he's playing the role of Supu, there will be a Supu docket where it tells the whole story, like maybe like a beat, like one line, two line. It tells the whole story leading up to the scene, and then he has the scene, and then so each actor gets a docket. So at any point, if they have a scene, they need to know what is happening before, after the scene, or they have to go back to their docket and look at it, where it's coming, what has happened to him, what is happening to him afterwards, and it helps them. So we started doing that just by learning from these problems, how the actor now needs to remember everything. We made these dockets for each actor. Like of course somebody like a Manoj will get a thick docket because it's throughout, but people with lesser screen time would get the scenes that are relevant to them leading up to that, so they get a smaller docket. So but everybody gets it.
Also, if you give anybody in the 8 episodes, 10 episodes, the whole thing, right, nobody's going to read it. I haven't seen anyone read it so far. And the people were not even reading feature scripts when you had feature scripts. You still called for narration.
Raja read. Raja read. No, you know what happened. So there's a very interesting anecdote. So second season, we started shooting before the release or the streaming of the first season, and we went on the show. I mean, whatever that they have written, it came to me, and then I said, "No, a few things are missing. No, that's being written. That will be given to you. But let's start shoot." And when we started shooting, I prepared the character thinking that he's divorced.
Are you serious?
No, so it ended like that, the first season.
Okay, I actually thought, so in my mind, I started acting with that thought in my mind that he's divorced. And suddenly Raj one day said, "No, he's not divorced right now. We are still thinking whether he should be separated or not, Manoj. But let's go ahead and shoot this thing." I said, "Raj, don't do this." Because that is going to be the basis of the character's journey. The few scenes we've shot, and then I had to really manipulate my performance around the changed graph of theirs.
Be more detached now. Like being in a marriage where it's kind of like being in a divorce. You're not there.
But it's easy with Manoj. You just say, and he'll say all this, but he'll figure it out.
Now, I wanted to ask you about reception and metrics. I'll start with Apurva. Now, what is the measure of success for these shows? For example, for films you have a Friday box office, right? So you have that report card that happens on a Friday. So how do you measure it with OTT? Do networks do the streamers give you any numbers? Do they break it down for you? How do you know that you have succeeded?
As I've had more experience with Netflix, they have this to-do, web numbers that really define what top 10 performing assets are across the world, country-wise, language-wise, and so on and so forth, genre-wise as well. But other than that, no, they don't share it, because then we as creators will start demanding our real worth. But it's interesting. They do a summarizing of our metric in terms of viewership, where did it drop, creative feedback in terms of how many people completed the series, not in terms of numbers, but in percentages across the world. And the good part about metrics from OTTs is that they have global numbers for global assets performing across. So if Veerappan was compared to, I think, Johnny Depp's divorce, whatever, very badly. But it was, that one dropped and everybody started watching that, and global viewership kind of sucked out, literally sucked out all the viewers out of our show. But the fact was, it was very interesting to understand, compare it, in one shot you can understand your performance versus any show in the world. These are things that I'm very interested in, because data is something that I deeply appreciate in terms of number. And you can keep digging into understand, but real viewership, no, they don't share. I think the best metrics, Naman, to understand good performance of a show is how many more shows you can get commissioned. So I think that warm welcome and opening of doors becomes so much easier in terms of pitching and them inviting you again and again to be able to deliver as creators is the only good metric that I would say keeps us going.
Rajanji.
Yeah, no, they don't share any numbers at all, even if you ask them. But what happens is they do give you a sense of how it's doing. They'll be like, this is doing well. Oh, this is doing very well.
But tell me, how come Ormax does the...
So now there are outside agencies like Ormax, where I think they have, like kind of like how people measure TRPs for television, right? It's not done by the channel, I think, I'm not sure.
It's based on the surveys.
Yeah, so they do surveys and they have their ways of
Also, Manoj, I think there's a huge social media tap now that they start extracting the
that's the buzz part. The viewership part I do this.
Yeah, viewership is...
Yeah, but the biggest indicator of how successful a series is, honestly, is social media. How much like
response you get
and love you get and how long it's lasting. You get a sense of oh my God, so many people are watching, so many people are talking about it, and this is the love, this is the hate, you understand that.
It's basically pieces in various things. Some of them is like, they say how many subscribers, like the Family Man, they kind of gave us an idea that how many new subscribers came on the service, and how many people finished it. These were the two metrics.
That's
that was
cool.
Yeah, we get a lot of subscriptions, right? So and then somebody said it's next to Marvelous Mrs. Maisel at that point or something. So you get a number. Oh, we've gotten so many subscribers for Amazon Prime. That is the metrics. But the other piece would be social media. The other would be just public, just wherever you go and they say, I've seen The Family Man. So the number of people that would say were so high, you could see how far it traveled. And of course, the other metric would be how many of our actors who are traveling to shoot season 2 were upgraded to business class automatically.
But that is something, it doesn't remain hidden, it just pops up. There is, two films of mine, Gulmohar and Banda. We didn't have any number. We didn't know how to measure the success of it in terms of the numbers. But suddenly, wherever you're going or the responses that you're getting on, and it is lasting for months. But Banda, suddenly, I started getting a call from Z5 that we were only expecting these many thousands subscription in a month. But now we have crossed more than 2 lakhs. So they were talking about thousands. They were expecting thousands, the maximum. But here they were talking about lakhs. So that itself, says that it's a runaway, blockbuster, in box office language. So that's how you, and then you are traveling, meeting people in the flight, at the airport, wherever you're going, they are saying, sir,
and your watchman.
Yeah. Eh?
Your watchman who took a selfie with you after Family Man. That's all about.
Family Man, you very very good. The chotus, all the bachas come in. Sir, Family Man. One photo, Family Man. That is the proof of the success of the project that you are part of.
Yeah, it's like the old days. It's like the old days, right? Like 20, 30 years ago, like at the time of Sholay or Hum Aapke Hai Kaun, even, when a movie plays, sorry?
60 years now.
No, like in the olden days. Sholay is very old, but
pre-social media.
Yeah, pre-box office numbers. Like nobody knows how much Sholay made. Nobody knows how much Hum Aapke Hai Kaun made. But all you know is it's playing in your theater, in your local town, in a local theater, and it's playing and it's playing and it's playing. It's playing for 100 days, and everybody you meet has seen it. So people are like, okay, it's a hit. I mean, the only benchmark there is it ran for 100 days. But other than that, it's a hit. Nobody knows how much money it made. So I think we're back to that here, saying everybody you meet has watched it or is still trending in the top 10 in the platform. That means people are still watching it after so many days. But you never know monetarily what it means.
See, it's also, cinemas have a shelf life. When a movie is released, it has a shelf life. It's that weekend is what is measurable. Here the interesting part is, it's there all the time. OTT. So people can watch, even if they don't have the time, they can watch accordingly. They might take a month to see it. They might take 2 months to see it. But people do watch. So there's a consistent viewership that always goes on. That is what is interesting about OTT.
I want to add to that. So when season 2 dropped, season 1's viewership went up. Like it was number 1, number 2. No, actually number 1 and number 3. In between was Bollywood Housewives, which is very happy that people are actually escaping. But that's what happens. That there's rediscovery. There is renewed viewership just to catch up. Because of the pandemic, a lot of distance was created between season 1, 2s or 3s, and I think that really gives a boost to material that is, probably not in the top launches or trending in the marketing, their carousals, but has that fan following. But you're right, like that Delhi Crime is an introduction my mom wants to give you, right? Like when I walk in, nobody really knows I'm a producer of Delhi Crime, but Delhi Crime made it possible for people like us to be able to, come into the limelight where we didn't have aspirations to create Bollywood films.
So while I have plenty of more questions for you, I think it's time to give the audience their time in the sun. So please raise your hands in an orderly fashion and please ask brief questions, and if you have any statements to make, this is not the forum, just ask questions. The gentleman in the 3rd row, followed by the gentleman in the 5th row.
मैम मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे है, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल थैंक यू सो मच। मेरा क्वेश्चन था कि आपने बाइबल की बात की, तो लाइक जैसे हम स्क्रिप्ट को मतलब रजिस्टर्स करवाते हैं SWA, तो क्या हमें मतलब बाइबल को भी करवाना चाहिए? अगर ऐसा कराना चाहिए तो कहाँ पे होती है? उसके लिए कौन सा
SWA में ही होता है।
SWA में होता है,
वही करवाइए।
थैंक यू मैम।
से जानना चाहता हूँ
You wait for the mic, please, and wait your turn. Yeah, so it's the gentleman here. Wait for a couple of minutes. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Faraj and DK. We absolutely loved Family Man, so we are hoping this year at least we'll get an update when it's going to come, 3rd. Having said that, what compelled you to make Cinema Buddy after making a blockbuster OTT?
Okay, thank you. And next to the gentleman in the cap. Give him a mic, please.
Indie cinema is always fresh. You always want to make those films. You don't go far away from indie cinema. So, Cinema Buddy, because it's so relevant here, just want to quickly give you what happened is that we were here 3 years ago in Film Bazaar, and we were one of the judges to pick and choose the films because there were a lot of scripts being submitted. There were really beautiful ideas and a lot of people, other filmmakers too, but this was not even selected in the top 25 or whatever it was. We were just sitting in the cafeteria, these 2 boys, and came up and said, we have an idea. I said, sure, people keep pitching all the time, but there was something special about it because they had a little pictorial way of representing it. What I was trying to tell filmmakers here is that we should find a way to make it interesting, grab your attention in that few minutes. That was the book, that's it, they didn't have anything else. I said, okay, sounds good, if you're going to do it this way, keep it real, keep it raw, with no actors. Go and shoot it, you have a phone, go and shoot a short film and show us how it is, how we would have done it. That's what they did. We came back, they actually got back and showed us in 3 months a really nice short film. And we said, okay, I'm going to keep my word. We'll put our own money because nobody's going to fund this because there is no actor in it. So we just made it with that budgets they gave. Of course, they went over the budget. We had to put double.
And also, I think the condition was that let's not just take the same. Let's take the same actors from the short film. All these newcomers, raw, fresh people. Let's make the film with them. The director was almost suggesting, should I approach this actor, that actor, like Telugu? Like, no, that's where we'll go wrong. So just stick to this exact same cast that you have. Go to the same village, cast more people that you need for the feature film, and I think, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, so they just stuck to it, and what's nice is that, these kind of films don't have a home, right? They never get a home. Film festivals are their traveling homes. That's what happened to our first film too. It's hard to put it out there. So we knew it was sunk costs at the end of it. You just go with it. But I should give a shout out to Netflix for giving it a great house.
So, gentleman with the cap, followed by the lady with the mic.
विश्व हिंदी टाइम्स से सुरेश शर्मा। मैं आदरणीय मनोज वाजपेयी जी से पूछना चाहता हूँ, ये जो OTT प्लेटफॉर्म है, ओवर द टॉप प्लेटफॉर्म, ये 15 साल इसके होने जा रहे हैं। ये रिलायंस एंटरटेनमेंट ने इसकी शुरुआत की थी 2008 में, अब 15 साल हो गए हैं। इस बीच इसका एक रूप बन गया है। तो मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि सिनेमा, फिर TV सीरियल और उसके बाद ये सीरीज, वाजपेयी जी सिनेमा के भी लीजेंड रहे हैं और ये जो सीरीज है उसके भी लीजेंड हो गए हैं। तो इसके तीनों के विधा में, यानी फिल्म और ये आपका TV और सीरीज, इसके स्टोरी स्ट्रक्चर में क्या अंतर होता है? क्या अंतर होता है? दूसरा ये कि आप एक एक्टर की तरह तीनों जो अब जेनर है, इसमें एक्टिंग में कुछ बदलाव अपना करते हैं, आपको कुछ या कोई फर्क नहीं आता?
सुरेश जी नमस्कार, कैसे हैं आप? दिल्ली जब से गए मिलना बंद हो गया आपसे जी। पहला तो वो जो स्ट्रक्चर, that question I think you guys should address. How do you structure this differently for films and OTT films and OTT series? How do you structure differently? I think that question should be asked. एक्टर के तौर पे सर मैं हमेशा से मानना रहा है कि मीडियम चाहे भले बदल जाए, चाहे वो थिएटर हो, चाहे रंगमंच हो, थिएटर हो, OTT हो, चाहे वो आपको फिल्म्स हो, थिएटर फिल्म्स, एक ही चीज़ बदलती है, दर्शक की जगह पे कैमरा आ जाता है। और मैंने अपनी ज़िंदगी में उसके अलावा कुछ ज़्यादा बदलाव नहीं किए हैं परफॉर्मेंस वाइज। एक किसी डायरेक्टर ने कहा था कि आप थिएटर में परफॉर्म करते हो तो लास्ट रो के लिए परफॉर्म करते हो, बट यहाँ पे लास्ट रो के लिए परफॉर्म करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, कैमरा आपका दर्शक है। सो दैट एक्चुअली वो उस बात ने जो है मेरे सारे चीज़ों को सॉल्व कर दिया था कि नाउ यू आर एक्टिंग फॉर द कैमरा, यू आर नॉट एक्टिंग फॉर द ऑडियंस। थिएटर में ऑडियंस सामने होती है, आप उनके लिए परफॉर्म कर रहे थे, इसलिए आपको लास्ट रो में इसमें सुनाई दे उतना प्रोजेक्शन आपको करना पड़ता है। लेकिन जब कैमरा ही आपका ऑडियंस है तो आपको प्रोजेक्शन करने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है। आपको सिर्फ ये ध्यान रखना है कि आपका कैरेक्टर जिससे आप बात कर रहे हैं कितनी दूरी पे खड़ा है। मेरी प्रॉब्लम वो नहीं होती, मेरी प्रॉब्लम होती है सटल एक्टिंग के नाम पे लोग, जो नमन अगर उतनी दूर है तो सटल एक्टिंग के नाम पे मैं बुदबुदाऊंगा, नहीं तो लोग कहेंगे कि ओवर द टॉप हो रहा है। ये जो डर है ओवर द टॉप होने का, वो इसलिए आता है बिकॉज हम लोग का स्किल सेट तैयार नहीं हुआ। अगर मैं नमन से बात करूंगा सिनेमा में भी तो मेरे पिच बढ़ेगा, क्योंकि बिकॉज नमन मुझसे कुछ दूर है। लेकिन जब मैं डीके से बात करूंगा तो मेरा पिच डिफरेंट होगा, बिकॉज ये मेरे बिल्कुल करीब है। बट आजकल हमारे सिनेमा में सटल एक्टिंग के नाम पे हम दोनों से एक ही पिच पे बात कर रहे होते हैं, क्योंकि कहीं ज़्यादा ना हो जाए। दैट्स ऑल, उसके अलावा कुछ चेंज किया नहीं जाता है।
लेडी देयर।
My question was to Manoj ji. I wanted to ask in terms of when you said you prep a lot for a character, like you do 50, you read the same script and the same scene 50 times so that it is a part of you. And when you're able to go in front of the camera, you're still able to keep the spontaneity because you are able to just wipe your mind and just go. And it is so intrinsic to you how you would react in that situation as the character in that scene. So I wanted to ask, yesterday I was here with Pankaj Tripathi, and he had mentioned that any character that you play, it should enrich you. It should make you into a better person than you were before. So or it should bring qualities to you that you didn't have. So is that something that you also experienced?
Well, it depends what kind of characters we are playing. If you ask me what characters made me a better human being, I would say Ramchandra Siras of Aligarh. He was a good man. I was playing a character who was basically a very fantastic human being. But when you're playing a character like Shrikant Tiwari, who is lying all the time, he's a good man, but his grey is a little much more, okay, than just the good side, because he has to be too many things in one day, you know. So he's calling all kind of tricks, pulling all kind of tricks to really do the job of a husband, of a father, of a spy, of a colleague, you know. So to very few characters that you play, and that actually helps you in becoming a better human being. There was a film called Gali Guliya that I have played, but that man was, you know, breaking down mentally, you know, in the entire film. That there was a graph of him breaking down. By the end of it, I was almost on the verge of having nervous breakdown. So that character will never, you know, help me in becoming a better human being. But yes, what happens when you are playing a character, any character, you are trying to understand other character.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, when you are trying to understand patiently, when I'm trying to understand a character, that is also giving me a capacity or a strength, a way to understand others. Okay, because what happens that in actual life, we are too self-obsessed. We are too much in love with ourselves. So we are not we don't try to really understand the person who is talking to me or who I am coming across, who is sitting a little far away. So what is the best part about our profession as actors? That we are looking at people, we are observing them, we are trying to understand their backstory, we are trying to understand what mental conflict they are going through, all of those, you know, aspect about other human beings. And where else you can, you know, get to do that? As an actor, that is why they say you can be a very good actor if you are a good human being. Why they say that? Because when you are a good human being, you try to understand others.
I also had a question.
There are plenty of other people with questions, so let's give them a chance. There's this gentleman followed by this gentleman with the curly hair and glasses. Yeah.
Hello, let's just everybody agree that we don't have Manoj Bajpayee here, but we have a literal film school of acting here. So yeah, thank you so much, Manoj sir. My question is to Raj and DK sir. You know, while directing, what are those creative fights, or you know, what are those conversations between you two, like how an impromptu joke can like be final? And also asking Manoj sir, have you ever seen both of them fighting for an impromptu joke which is given by you?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
See, we know to make movies together, so that's the only way we know to make movies. We've been friends since college, so we pretty much write together, we write to direct. So everything is agreed on the paper, all the fights are happening in the office. So not much happens on the set, I think, right? You've seen us fight?
I have only seen Raj pulling his leg, and he very quietly, you know, really suffering Raj's humor and his pranks on him. I have only seen that. DK doesn't even respond to his pranks and humor, which is so amazing.
Yeah, no, so, improvisations are always welcome from the actors. That's what Dayal was saying earlier, that we really get the actors. We don't even sit down with the actors before we start shooting. We don't do rehearsals much. It's just talk, understand each other, be on the same page. And the first day or so, it's fine-tuning. After that, it's a free run. It's really actors get to do whatever they want to do. And we are there to possibly govern and kind of oversee it. Really, they do most of the job, I think.
I mean, the only surprise bit would be if actor does something, some impromptu, some ad-libbing. That's where the surprise comes. And I think we both look at each other and saying, what do you think? Is it good? Is it going? And we discuss by the time. Then Manoj comes and it's like, how was it?
Usually we'll have two of us have to discuss, because it's always a crowd around the monitor. you'll have to go away to discuss and say, what do you think? But we have a secret language that we speak in Telugu. So we speak to each other quietly. On the leather.
There are some Telugu people in the house, I think. Oh, there's a lot of them.
There's a lady in the front. Do you have the mic yet? Yeah.
Sir, hi.
Yeah, so the lady in the front first. बोल ले दो यार. आपका आएगा, नंबर आएगा.
Thank you to the lovely panel ahead in front of us, and thank you for sharing your personal experiences, which is very enriching for all of us over here. My question is a general question for everybody, even in the people still sitting in the auditorium. But Manoj, this is for you. Yeah, we have grown together from theatre till and your first film, Bandit Queen, was shared. And I feel, even as Dolly, I feel there has been success and failures in all our lives. I want to know the Manoj that I know, how has he faced his failures? Success is there in front of us, but there have been moments, like me also, we get into our own shells, you know. So I want to know, Manoj, how you dealt with it.
The initial time in Bombay, Mumbai, which is called now, initial years in Mumbai without work was very difficult. Why it was difficult? Because when I was doing theatre, when you were also there, we were doing theatre without getting paid. I mean, there's no money in theatre. So, but I was very busy. I was kind of working with Barry John. I had my own group that I was busy with. There was no time for anything else. But the amount of work that we were putting in theatre, it was not giving us time to even think that we are hungry. Okay? It was not giving us time to think that we don't have money to take a bus back to the room. Okay? It was not giving us time for anything. We were so driven, we were so passionate. Days were filled with activities and the plays and the rehearsals. And suddenly when you land in Mumbai, you don't have work. And everybody thinks that, you know, our days in Delhi was difficult. No, it was so fantastic because we were learning every day, we were practicing, we were rehearsing. There was no time for anything. If we felt that, you know, I want to have samosa, I'm very hungry, I'll immediately go to DK and say, if you have 2 rupees, give it to me, I want to buy a samosa. So that was the kind of time we, enjoyed together with our friends, with our colleagues who were working together. But in Mumbai, when you land, you don't know anybody, and you don't have enough money. You have to really be worried about your rent, you have to be worried about your food, and you don't have work. Whichever office you go to, a person who came straight away from his village and landed in that office, and you who have done 10 years of theatre will be measured equally. Okay? So that was a very frustrating time, and it was a horrendous time. But the low that I faced after a few years of Satya, that I took it very well, I would say. After those 5-6 years of lows, I think I have used it so well that never seemed like low. I used to conduct workshops, I used to attend workshops, I used to read a lot, I used to go back to my village, meet people, just watch plays, watch films. So the initial days of the struggle in Mumbai was very bad, but the low that I have faced after a few years of Satya, that was handled very well. I suddenly, I became very disciplined. I started working on myself, and I started thinking that I have to really prepare myself for the next opportunity. So I think that somebody gave me this lesson that lows are or struggle times are the best time to really solidify yourself. And because if you are not working on yourself, how are you going to use the opportunity which will land up in your lap? So it's best to keep working on yourself. I know it's easier said than done. Manoj Bajpayee यहाँ से ज्ञान दे सकता है आपको, लेकिन खुद पे पड़ती हो तो बहुत भारी पड़ता है. But there is no other choice. There is no other option. You have to prepare yourself for the opportunity which will come from, which may come from, directors like Raj and DK. And that time you can't say that I'm going back to the workshop to learn acting. You can't afford to say that.
The gentleman here has been waiting for a long time.
Hi sir. So firstly, big fan of your work, all of you. So my question is to Raj sir and DK sir. So sir, nowadays I feel that a lot of people have very short attention span, and so when you were making a web series, Family Man, of approximately 10 hours, so what was your plan to engage the audience and create a narrative act so that it keeps the audience invested?
Well, I think a lot of people, or at least common perception is that a film will have crisp and fast-moving scenes and a series will have slow scenes, but I don't think that is true, at least for the content we make, because we treat, even in terms of pacing, we treat our series as much as, just like we would treat our films. The only difference is there is more content. So the pacing of our shows, if you see, perhaps, is that they will be running at a pace of the film. The things that are happening, if there is a 2-minute relation, like a 2-minute fight between a husband and a wife in a film, we might have a 4-minute fight between a husband and a wife in a film, but that's not because the same fight is taking longer or it's going slower. It's because we can dig deeper and put more and more nuances in the fight. But the pace at which it moves is the same, because now you feel that you have 8 hours or 9 hours to tell the story, and you have a lot of story to tell. So that is what is important. See, the length should come from the amount of story you're telling, but not telling the same story slowly.
The lady at the back.
Hello everyone. My name is Pratibha Sonavde and I am from Pune, from SNDT Women's University, and we are here with all our students. Sir, सबसे पहले Manoj sir, I love you. And my question is to Krishna sir. Sir, जब हम हमारी फिल्म बनाते हैं, अगर हमारा कोई प्रोडक्शन हाउस है एंड वी वर्क फॉर अ फिल्म, और अगर हम OTT के साथ काम करते हैं, तो क्रिएटिवली या फिर प्रोडक्शन वाइज और बजट वाइज हाउ इट इज़ डिफरेंट? I'm asking this question because sir, one of my friend has written a web series of 7 episodes, and he's trying to find out a way कि he should approach a producer or any OTT platform. So how it is different and how to go forward with?
You have a script and you want to get it made, right?
Yes.
That's the question.
Yes.
A series, especially.
Yes.
It's hard when you send it to the platforms directly, because I don't know, they get tons of it. I don't know how many they can actually start greenlighting it, because they would like a director, a producer attached to it, ideally. So I would suggest going to producers, studios who would be interested in a subject like that, than going directly to Netflix or Amazon.
Sir,
there's a gentleman here.
Again, questions lekunde.
Hang on. You want to ask a question? Hang on. Just let this gentleman ask, and we'll give you the mic next. Give him the mic next.
Okay. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. First of all, thank you so much. I'm a young filmmaker from Hyderabad. Sir, 2 questions. I'll keep it very simple. Manoj sir, you did a film called Happy that was way long back. It's been a long time, so you need to come back to Telugu one. Please. Sir, my second question. Namaste, sir. Rajan Dika, sir. Big fan of your work. సార్ మీరు ఎప్పుడు తెలుగులో డైరెక్ట్ చేస్తారు సార్? చేయాలి సార్. లైక్
మంచి డైరెక్టర్స్ దొరుకుతున్నారు మాకు, సో వాళ్ళ దగ్గర చేపిద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నాం, వాళ్ళతో కలిసి చేసేద్దాం.
సార్ మీ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ తెలుగులో మిస్సింగ్.
You need to translate.
Yeah. Okay, let him finish the question.
Yeah, that's all. Like when you go to do a...
He's asking us when we go to direct in Telugu, so I'm saying that we are terming ourselves as filmmakers, so we don't necessarily have to direct a film. We can still write with somebody, we can still produce with somebody, so we're being flexible that we can make all kinds of cinema, that not everything has to be, not everything we have to go and say action and cut. We can do a lot of things like we did for Stree, and there's a new series coming up called Gulkanda Tales. We haven't directed it, but there's so much part of it that it's like that. I mean, I'd like to do something in Telugu too. starting with Cinema Bandi, we want to do more.
Sir, Manoj sir, waiting for your answer. Next Telugu film.
I think I'll work in Telugu when Raj and DK will make a Telugu film.
Thank you so much, sir.
Gentleman at the
Thanks
back.
for your just uncle.
With the beard.
Poor guy, can you please give him the mic? It's a long time he's
been waiting for a while. Yeah,
please.
And then followed by the gentleman in the cap.
Yes, please.
Sir, namaste Max. First time talking in mic.
First time talking in?
Mic, sir. First time you're talking in the mic.
So hold the mic like
this. Let's clap for it. किससे पूछना है? सवाल हुआ. Who you want to ask?
Yeah. What? You have a question or a statement?
Everyone, sir. NCLL. Hi.
Do you have a question?
No question, sir. So many questions.
There's a gentleman.
Sir, I'm a filmmaker.
Okay.
First time I got a chance to tell I'm a filmmaker. But yeah, sir. నేను తెలుగు సినిమా తీద్దాం అనుకుంటున్నా సార్.
చిప్పే ఇంకా
అంతే కదా. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentleman over there.
చాలా గట్స్ ఉందబ్బా నీకు ఇట్లా మాట్లాడడానికి సినిమా కూడా తీసేస్తా.
Good evening, sir. I'm Suresh Kumar from Online Media, and my question is to all 5 of them. The question is, one thing at 2024, if you wish you want to add on to this OTT platform, what would it be? Each one wish of yours to add on at 2024.
I've produced a film for the past 6 years. It's an animation film. It's hand-drawn, Japanese style, South Asian film. So that's what I want to distribute in 2024. And season 3.
You're saying what from our side?
One more wish to add on to the OTT.
We already have 2 shows coming next year.
I think he meant in a
wish list.
Like for example, I'm so happy for the fact that documentaries are making such a big impact on OTT. Veerappan is a great example, and few years ago nobody had watched documentaries in India. They're all relegated to film festivals where the crowd doesn't even go. Now imagine the amount of people that are trending on top. So something like that, I'd like to see short films making it into OTT, which we don't see. That's my nomination.
Yeah, there you go. I think he covered everything. I mean, बाकी सब तो आता ही है OTT पे. So I don't know what else can come.
No, that's a very good question actually. I don't know whether it's a question or not, but one thing, all OTT platforms started with initially, that they were really mentoring independent cinema. And that somewhere, got lost. Somewhere, I don't know for what reason, that it has gone down completely. Now we see all the box office blockbusters making their way big time. But the independent cinema movement that started, and it was getting such mentorship from the OTT platforms, that is gone. And that is a very sad development, because if independent cinemas are not there, I don't think there will be what do you call it? Will not grow as the industry. Will only grow as an industry in terms of money, but will not grow as an industry as creative people.
Yeah, new voices.
Yeah, new voices. New voices should be applauded. Should be given platforms. So I think that they were doing it so beautifully well.
Yeah, they were earlier. All these movies were directly made or shown on OTT. Now there's a clause that it has to play in theaters. Only then we'll take it. Right there, it's taken off all the cinema that can actually be watched. They're all sitting there in cans because they're not going to get a film released so easily.
No, I mean it's so difficult for any independent film to really stand a chance in front of a say Jawan or Pathan or say Tiger 3. It can't stand a chance. And if you are giving shows at 9 o'clock in the morning for an independent film, it will never do well. It will fall flat. But the platforms were doing it so well. They were really mentoring it initially. I really request from this stage to all these platforms to really revive that mentorship and
It's a phenomenon worldwide, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because not just in India, because there used to be a time when there would be a theatrical film and there would be an OTT film which was a certain way. But from what I know, a couple of years ago, the Russo brothers made The Grey Man for Netflix, so which is as big as any theatrical film. So now, I think every film is a big film in that sense.
No, but I would like to add, because the whole independent to straight to OTT was a solution that, I was a part of that whole journey, and I completely agree with you. There is no safe home for independents left, and that is happening because a lot of the resources after Windows are going into the blockbusters. So it's really what was beautiful about this panel today, and what the biggest argument that I take away is independence makes for filmmakers to become better show creators and showrunners, and that kind of feeding is very important to go into investment in acquisitions of independence. I think, and it's not very expensive to acquire independence. It's very little money, but to make them have a home and a dedicated carousel, so that people who watch independence can reach there. And I
personally feel that no film industry can evolve without independence.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's all.
It's about also the time frame that OTTs are taking when it comes to originals. They take a longer time by the time they greenlight it, and then they actually go on floors. Maybe that is also putting a lot of waiting period for new age directors. So even if they can shorten that, they are talking about it, but if they can shorten that process of greenlighting it and taking it to the floors, that's another thing that I wish it could happen.
That's all we have time for, unfortunately.
I have one question. I have one question for Raj and DK. So some months ago we met at SWA, and in that conference you had shown us the glimpse of your presentation, how from scratch you prepared for Family Man. So likewise, do you have the same process for the other your projects as well? And also, can we please have a glimpse of that? It was excellently made, actually, the presentation with the
I'll answer very quickly. No, we do. There has to be an organized way to do anything, for that matter. People thought we smoked up and made Go Gone. So you can't make a zombie film high. You have to be sober for everything. It has to be structure, organization. We will do another master class where we will clearly show how we do it, and how we do our cards and trees and scriveners and all that. So we'll do it again. So I'm sure you'll love it.